Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Behind the Bar. I'm your host, Timmy Tayo, and we've just witnessed another defeat at Old Trafford, Manchester United against Crystal Palace, 2-0. And at this point, I think I actually need a drink. It's been tough sledding, quite frankly, watching United at Old Trafford this season. First half was promising, to be honest. We started the game on the front foot. We pegged Crystal Palace back. I think it was 6 corners in the first 20 minutes. Not really any clear-cut chances. Mainu had the one shot in the first half to hit the bar. And then Crystal Palace started to grow into the game. They created a few chances. There was a one cross that Ismail Assar headed away from Mateta, who probably would have scored if not for that deflection by Sarr. And the longer the game went on, the less likely it looked that Man United was going to score. And of course, Crystal Palace took the lead from a set piece. It's a recurring theme, isn't it, right? Set piece goals conceded. Free kicks, corners. Today was a free kick, a header that beat Onana, hit the crossbar, and then Mateta the first to react with the rebound, and really a striker's finish, right? Being at the right place at the right time, anticipating the ball off the crossbar, and an easy tap in for 1-0. And of course, towards the end of the game, when United pressed on for the equalizer, a great counterattack by Crystal Palace, finished off by Mateta, to round up the game and give us another loss at Old Trafford, 2-0. And just a couple takeaways that I want to review, having watched another loss at Old Trafford. And that leads right into the first point. The Old Trafford woes and struggles continue. It seems like the expectations at Old Trafford weighs heavily on these players. Away from home, the team tend to do really well when there's not that level of expectation at Old Trafford, where there's only a few thousand away fans, and they seem to sort of thrive in those environments. But when the pressure's on, when there's 70+ thousand fans in the stadium rooting you on, and everyone's expecting you to do something, they seem to sort of crumble under the lights at the Theater of Dreams. And I'm not really sure what's going on with that. How we tend to find results away from home, but at home, at Old Trafford, which used to be a fortress, has now become a stomping ground for away teams. They come with no fear. They tend to impose themselves on the game. And I think it's, 13, 14 games now where we failed to score in the first half. And that used to be a hallmark of United sides of old, right? Starting out fast, getting an early goal, and really just crushing the hopes of your opponent. But this iteration of Man United just can't seem to find that attacking threat. Completely toothless in front of goal, outside of the one chance I think Bruno had in the second half that forced the save out of former United goalkeeper Dean Henderson. Really wasn't any clear-cut chances that the team created, which is a huge problem. And that leads into my second point, where I believe that today Amorim sent a message to Ineos with his team selection. I think a lot of fans like myself were puzzled to find Kobbie Mainoo playing as the false 9 with no recognized striker, having your £72 million Højlund on the bench, and then your recent recruit from Bologna, Xerxes, on the bench as well. I believe that's a combination of £100 million worth of strikers on the bench, with an academy lad, Kobbie, leading the attack. And this is the first game in the Amorim era where he's not fielded a striker in the team. And I certainly have my theory as to why he did that. Of course, tomorrow is the deadline for the January transfer window. And up until this point, Xerxes and Højlund have clearly struggled. They've suffered to score goals. They haven't been able to link up play. The hold up play has been almost non existent. And it's no surprise that United have not scored many goals across all competitions, really. And I mean, just look at the table and look at the goal difference. Having a negative, I think it's -6 now, tells the story of the lack of goals in this team. And I believe that today, Amorim was trying to send a message to Ineos and the board to say, hey, look, the strikers I have, they're not working. And outside of those two strikers, we have no other options. And so I'm just going to throw Manu in that striker position to show you guys the lack of depth in the squad as far as the striker is concerned. And it certainly backfired, right? It just didn't work out. Manu kept trying to drop in, to receive the ball, to link up play. And we did well to actually work the ball to the number 10s out wide, whether it was Ahmad on the right or Garnacho on the left. But then the attack stalled once we got into those positions because there was no one in the box, right? Garnacho will beat his man on the wing, on the flank, and look into the box and no one to be found. Delo and Mazraoui were the furthest players arriving late in the box, and that's just not going to cut it. When your wing backs tend to be the players that you're looking for goals, you have a big problem. And when your strikers, your two strikers that you paid $100 million combined plus, can't even make the starting 11, and you have to go with a central midfielder deployed as a striker, I think it really, really shows the holes and the gaps in this squad. And of course, we learned today that Tel from Bayern Munich broke down, and it doesn't look like that's going to happen. And of course, Rashford has gone to Aston Villa on a loan for the end of the season. And of course, we've had Antony as well leave to Real Betis until the end of the season. And that really leaves the attack short on options. And I'm hoping that there's going to be some sort of last minute deal by end of business tomorrow when the transfer window closes for the January window, that Ineos can do something to help Amorim out. Højlund is lacking form, lacking confidence. Xerxes can't buy a goal. And I mean, where are the goals going to come from? I talked about the relegation battle in our very first episode and the first of the year in January. And with the lack of goals, I'm worried. Now, I don't think that Man United are going to get relegated by any stretch of the imagination. We're back in our 13th position that we seem to be married to this season. But I think that there's enough quality in this team to avoid such catastrophe. But clearly something needs to be done by end of business tomorrow to give this team a lift, to give the offense a spark. Because defensively, even though we've conceded 2 goals today, I think the defense has been relatively okay. It's obviously going forward that the problems persist. And so Ineos, you got to do something. We cannot go the rest of the season without bringing an offensive player in, having let go of Rashford and Antony, and being short of attacking options. And so very disappointing, to be fair, to be honest. But I think the one positive, which is my third takeaway, is that we just have to go all in for the Europa League at this point. And it's good to see 2 signings coming in today in the defensive part of the team with Patrick Dorgu and Heaven from Arsenal. But those are players for the future. Those are players who are going to need time to settle into this team. And again, those are defensive reinforcements. What this team desperately needs is attacking threat. And with the Europa League, we have to put all our eggs in that basket, like I said. That is a real opportunity to salvage the season. That is a real opportunity to finish what's been a horrible season with silverware, which means automatic qualification into the Champions League, which means more revenue to affect the PSR and FFP issues that seem to be keeping the team from being able to do business. At least that's what we're being told by Ineos. And so there is still a lot to play for in the Europa League this year, and we have to go all in for that. Even if that means resting key players in the Premier League on a Sunday or a Saturday to keep them ready for the Thursday Europa League game, we have to do what we need to do to get into, to win the competition. I think that's all that's left to play for. Yes, the FA Cup is there. I mean, we are the current holders of the FA Cup, and so it'd be nice to win the FA Cup, but of course the Europa League is where it all counts. So not a great day today for Man United. I think our under 21 also lost as well. You had the news of the Tell from Bayern Munich transfer breaking down. Malacia's loan deal to Benfica also breaking down. And just not a good day at the office for Man United. Of course, we also lost Lisandro Martinez to injury, which really looked bad. When you see a player like that stay down, I mean, Licha and Martinez never stays down, right? So, of course, he went out on a stretcher. He was in tears. And that's our best ball-playing defender. So, lots of negatives today. But the beauty about football is it's always about the next game. And we have a decent run of form. I know I said that last week about a favorable schedule, hoping that it will start with a win against Crystal Palace at home. If we could play away from home for the rest of the season, I think we'd actually do fine because we just can't seem to buy a result at Old Trafford. But we'll hang in there and hope for the best. Again, I think the Europa League is where we have to put all of our attention and fight to win another trophy, which will guarantee us a place in next season's Champions League. So that's it for me for today. Thank you guys for tuning in. We'll see you next week. Please like, share, and subscribe. It means a lot to the channel. Catch you on the next one. Cheers.